When a person begins life, countless gates stand waiting to be opened. The gates do not stay open forever. We walk through the years and they shut behind us. At the end, they are all closed, except the one final gate which we must enter. Before it is too late, let us open the gates that lead to blessing. Let us enter the gates of tranquility. Let us enter the gates of kindness and compassion. Let us open the gates to those things in life that abide eternally before the gates swing shut, before all of them close. Do not remain standing at the outer gate. The gates are to be entered. The sun is low. The hour is late. Let us enter the gates at last.
The Jewish New Year ends with a moment of memory.
As Yom Kippur fades, our thoughts turn to loss. We are here for many reasons. Some have lost a loved one during the year just concluded. Others have mourned for many years. We have all lost someone we loved, someone who loved us. Loss is an inescapable experience of the human condition.
We face two paths, to remember and weep for what we have lost, or to remember and smile at what remains with us. Both paths are human, both are appropriate, both are healthy, and we make space here and now for tears and for consolation. Just as our New Year celebration evolves from joy to self-reflection to mourning, and then back into life, so too does the human heart change from day to day, from moment to moment.
We who live, remember.
We who live, live on.
A year of grieving.
This is the year I grieved anew, always in fear of another loss. There have been too many lately to absorb gently into the fabric of my multi-woven life.
I now see less rosy hues, more muddy grays, knotting mournful threads into my old survivor soul. New shoots of grass and flowers, notwithstanding spring and summer, feel shorter in the winter of my life.
Thus the more reason to seek a welcoming smile,
The warmth of an outstretched hand.
the joy of a child's laughter.
And today, in the early brightness of autumn, to cherish the arrival of a new Jewish year for all of us here to share. L'Shana Tova.
We learn little from spoken rules and written advice. Words can inspire us, but rarely do they transform our lives. We learn from people, from the living example of living teachers, a father's integrity, a mother's warm encouragement, a famous leader's determination. People enter our lives and guide us by what they do, not by what they say. They embody the ideal and make it real enough for us to understand. Memory keeps alive the example of great men and women who taught us through action. It also preserves the behavior of more modest guides who touched our lives in simpler ways. We too shall be examples in a future world that we shall never visit. We are teaching others for a tomorrow that is beyond our grasp. Our actions will move others long after our words are forgotten. We are the children of love. We are the heirs of generous hope. Parents and peers, family and friends are forever joined to us by bonds of affection and mutual experience. The pain of separation never completely disappears, nor does the fond memory of their lives. They are constantly with us, even when we do not think of them. Their influence brings us here today, that we may honor them by sharing our memories silently as a community of caring friends.
That's what we are all looking for, a certain peace with the idea of dying. If we know in the end that we can ultimately have peace with dying, we can finally do the really hard thing.
Which is?
Make peace with the living.
He asked to see the hibiscus plant on the ledge behind him. I cupped it in my hand and held it up near his eyes. He smiled.
It's natural to die. The fact that we make such a big hullabaloo over it is because we don't see ourselves as part of nature. We think because we're human, we're somehow above nature.
He smiled at the plant.
We're not. Everything that borns dies. Everything that gets born dies.
Yes.
All right, now here's the payoff. Here is how we are different from all those wonderful plants and animals. As long as we can love each other and remember the feelings of love we had, we can die without ever going away. All the love you created is still here. All the memories are still here. You live on in the hearts of everyone you have touched and nurtured while you were here.
His voice was raspy, which usually meant he needed to stop for a while. I placed the plant back on the ledge and went to shut off the tape recorder. This is the last sentence that Maury got out before I did.
Death ends a life, not a relationship.
The third wire. Have you ever noticed how machines are governed by those three wires that seem to run the show? Well, it is the third wire, the one they call the ground, that brings things down. It is said that the third wire goes straight down into the center of the earth. So I believe this is the way for us to bind to the world. I mean to all those that we have loved that were in the end attached to the respirator and to the kidney dialyzer. To all those Sunday calls, the voice that spoke to us through the telephone or left messages on the machine. They are all gone now, but in their years, we learned together on this planet, and through the third wire, touched our ancient ancestral heart deep in the middle of the earth.
The deceptive present, the phoenix year. As I looked at the poplar rose in the shining air, like a slender throat, and there was an exaltation of flowers, the surf of apple tree, delicately foaming. All winter, the trees had been silent soldiers, a vigil of woods, their hidden feelings scrawled, and became scores of black vines, barbed wire sharp against the ice-white sky. Who could believe then in the green, glittering vividness of full-leafed summer? Who will be able to believe when the winter again begins, after the autumn burns down again and the day is ashen, and all returns to winter and winter's ashes, wet, white, ice, wooden, dulled and dead, brittle and frozen? Who will believe or feel in mind and heart the reality of the spring and of birth in the green, warm opulence of summer and the inexhaustible vitality and immortality of the earth?
Yom Kippur, without my father and without my mother, is not Yom Kippur. From the blessing of their hands on my head, just the tremor has remained like the tremor of an engine that didn't stop even after their death. My mother died only 5 years ago. She is still being processed between the offices above and the papers below. My father, who died long ago, is already resurrected in other places, but not in my place. Yom Kippur without my father and without my mother is not Yom Kippur. Hence, I eat to remember and drink not to forget, and sort out the vows and catalog the oaths by time and size. In the day we shouted, "Forgive us," and in the evening we cried, "Open to us." And I say, forget our sins, forget us, leave us alone at the closing of the gate when the day is done. The last ray of the sun is splintered. We are splintered. The word splintered is splintered.
Life continues after loss, though it is never the same. We face a new world, but we face it with the love and support of our family and friends. They celebrate the joyous times, and they give us strength in the difficult moments. Loss is a part of life. Our lives revolve through joy and sorrow, plenty and lack, loneliness and companionship. At times we determine the course we travel, and at times we find ourselves swept along by the waves. Let us pause for a moment of reflection on the memory of our loved ones. Loving memory is our greatest tribute. If you're comfortable standing, could I ask that you please stand for just a few moments? In our congregation, at our Humanistic Memorial service at Yom Kippur, we recall the names of those who died in the last few years. We know these wounds are fresh, their names are still very present, the feeling of their touch still resonates with us. And so we remember with great love Jim Arnold, Tema Bolnick, Myrna Cohn, Gil Feldman, Jeffrey Friedman, Phyllis Gerberding, Rita Golub, Lucia Grunbauer, Jerry Kane, Marilyn Kaplan, Sidney Klein, Doris Libman, Duncan McCune, Doris Rachel Meerman, Karen Moss, Matthew Passon, Abe Rosenzweig, Nancy Schaefer, Janet Bobby Slaw, Lester Telser, Belle Waldron, Betty Weinberger, Stanley Weinberger, and Margaret Whitlinger. Let us pause for a moment of silent tribute to their memory. Please be seated. When you came to our services today, you received a memorial book. It includes a list of names that those in our congregation wanted remembered in this season. And so as we hear musical, reflective music, I invite us to review these names, to find the names that you knew, the names of families whom you know now, to reflect on the power of memory, on all these losses, but also all of the love that this book represents. And so I invite us into a space of musical reflection.
success, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. No one event can encapsulate a life. No one service can heal the pain of loss. The most to be hoped is that each stage of the journey is a step towards living life anew, a step in favor of love and vitality and the beauty of the world and the people around us. We who survive are the keepers of memory. Grief may return at unexpected moments, a family event, a special transition, or even an ordinary day can become an instant of sadness. And that is entirely as it should be, for we do not forget our loved ones. At best, we become accustomed to the world without their presence. The light of life burns on.
Memory is a tricky thing. Over and over, the Torah commands, Zachor, remember. Many of the events we are told to remember did not actually happen in history. On one level, it matters whether or not there really was an Exodus, a revelation at Mount Sinai, divinely authored miracles as recorded in the Torah and Jewish tradition. On another level, it does not matter. People are going to remember what they choose to remember, how they choose to remember it, what they are told to remember. Remember the Alamo the way we tell you to remember it. Remember the Maine to start a war with Spain and gain a short-lived American empire, even though most of us do not remember the Maine anymore. Remember Pearl Harbor. To actually remember Pearl Harbor, say you were 5 years old in 1941. That would make you at least 87 today. The vast majority of us do not remember Pearl Harbor in that way. We are like anyone under age 25 today who was told, remember 9/11. They don't actually remember the event. They remember what they are told to remember. They remember the story, but not the actual experience. For events that we did experience, for people we knew personally and whom we loved, who are now gone, we might think the past would stay the same. Time travel is fiction. What's done is done. Those who are gone are gone. We will not see them again for the rest of our lives. However, it turns out our memories do not stay the same, because we do not stay the same. We are not an unmoved observer of the past, an objective camera recording everything that comes into our frame. We are artists, painting the scene over and over. Sometimes we are realistic, trying to capture every line and curve, every shade and silhouette as close to reality as we can. Sometimes we are impressionists, our emotions making the details fuzzy even as we are taken back to how we felt at that moment with the same intensity. Sometimes we are abstract, remembering shapes that get jumbled in our recollections with other moments of the past. Memory is not a science. Memory is an art, a moving sea between the shores of then and now. Memory is a complicated relationship between yesterday and today. As we change, so too do our relationships. Our service this afternoon quoted Mitch Albom's Tuesdays with Morrie, "Death ends a life, not a relationship." After a loved one dies, it takes time to get past the immediacy of loss, the pain of separation, sometimes the agonies of a last decline. Over time, our relationship to them changes, as it always did before. Perhaps our relationship to that person began as a child to a parent. It later became an adult child relating to a fellow adult parent. Then maybe we became a parent ourselves, and they became a senior parent and a grandparent. If they did not die suddenly, perhaps we became a caregiver to them as their needs grew. When they are gone, we transition from caregiving to remembering. Yet remembering is still a dynamic and complicated relationship. If we had a good connection while they were alive, maybe we find more peace. Or maybe we miss them more because the relationship was so good. If our relationship had challenges, are we relieved to no longer argue? Or do we regret that we no longer have the chance to create a better connection or to reconcile? What is true for these lost loved ones is true for all of our memories, for each of our past connections, to spouses or children, to grandparents, siblings, and friends. We have regrets and hopes and wishes for what might have been. Without even thinking, we ask to change the past. We ask, if only. We ask, what if? Yet we can only shade and sculpt the past so far. We can add a new soundtrack, change the lighting, zoom in on different parts of the screen, but a replay is still a replay. We cannot change the plot, and we cannot make a realistic Rembrandt into a surrealist Chagall. There are limits to the creativity of imagination when we remember the past that we lived and our loved ones who lived it with us. We need to learn two things from our complicated relationship with the past. First, we need to find peace by reminding ourselves that the past is the past. What if only will not fundamentally change what was. Forgive yourself for what did not happen. Forgive yourself and forgive them for what was not done or said. Forgive yourself and forgive them for what was not felt then or is not felt now. We can retell the past with generosity, with forgiveness for them and for ourselves. Relationships change even after someone is gone. The other person does not change, but we do. Second, if we cannot fundamentally change the past, then this is our opportunity to make our living relationships, our complicated, challenging, fractured yet repairable relationships with living loved ones, into the relationships we want and wish for. Do not wait to say if only. Do not wait and ask, what if? Act now, speak now, feel now, forgive now. Why wait for regrets when we can begin the repair today? One of my favorite songs of our entire High Holiday repertoire is the song with which we begin our Yom Kippur Memorial services. Niftach et hasha'ar, let us open the gate, even at the time of the closing, literally the locking of the gate, before the day is done. The gate is forgiveness. The gate is an opening to changed relationships, an opening to the past and to the present, an opening to others and to ourselves. Hayom Yifnei, the day vanishes. Hashemesh Yavo v'Yifnei, the sun is setting. If we can face the truth and embrace the people in our complicated relationships, past and present, Shalom Yavo, peace will come. Let us wish, let us hope, let us act to make it real in our lives. Shalom Yavo, peace will come. Please read responsively with me together in the bolded text. Let this new year be the beginning of a new life in each of us, where the old things have passed away. Those ideas that remain to encourage our prejudices, let them pass away. Together? Let them pass away, but not the old thoughts which are still true. All anger and bitter feeling, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the old emotions that are filled with kindness. The harsh words, suspicious looks, clenched hands and unwilling feet, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the compassion and the caring that sustained and helped people. The new fashions that make us forget those things, which hold life together in the unity of good manners, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the old habits that keep us in the straight way. New associations made from wrong motives, let them pass away. Let them pass away, but not the old friends who grow more beloved each year because their worth is better appreciated. Together, let all old love things stay, but let the clutter of our heads and hearts be removed so that new inspirations and new affections may enter to make our lives better. In the days and weeks to come, each of us will face the distractions of daily routine and the busy responsibilities of living, which may undermine our resolve. The noblest purposes somehow become lost in the details of our lives. Yet, if what we seek is significance, we need not despair of finding it precisely in the hours and minutes of an average day. We feel significant when we see good in people, grandeur in the scheme of life, wonders of the earth about us. We feel significant when purpose has filled our minds and the spark of life burns brightly in our spirits. So let us turn to the unfinished task with clarity, with energy and with goodwill. Let the shofar sound today's final call so that tomorrow when we enter the new year, we carry with us wishes of peace, health, and joy for all. Tekiah! We conclude our celebration of the new year by wishing each other one final time, L'Shana Tova, a year of resolve and a year of peace. Since it's no longer appropriate to wish Happy New Year, I invite you to wish each other l'chaim, to life.